Make them suffer.
Are you ready for this?
Yeah, come on.
It's time for you to be baptized into this life. Just like Kanan did for me and Ghost.
Who?
It's a story for a different time.
So DMac is finally back in CBI. He was missing in episode 5 because there was a lot that needed to get done by the adults in the room. Tommy had to deal with Claudia Flynn and Stacey Marks. Jannard and Diamond were also strengthening their bond. And then we also had other various storylines surrounding Vic Flynn, Maria, and Shanti warning Tommy at the end that these brothers are looking out for themselves. So there aren't that many people that Tommy can actually trust, but DMac definitely is one of them. So in this breakdown, we're going to be talking about DMac and what's next. How does Tommy plan on integrating him back into CBI at the same time as trying to keep him safe? I'm definitely excited to see DMac back in the game and seeing Tommy mentoring someone in the streets, because it definitely will give us shades of Kanan and hopefully a few more Easter eggs for Power Origins, as well as a few more stories that we've never heard before. There were also quite a few exclusive images that were released this week, so we are going to start to have a look at one or two of these as well. Now first up, I do actually want to just quickly run through a couple of clues that I do think we missed, that we're still yet to see from the official trailer and various teasers. I was going through these earlier in the week, especially when I was doing my trailer breakdown and also my breakdown around Tommy's alliance with CBI. How we're going to see a tear straight down the middle within the coalition. I was looking at these scenes again where we see Kate returning to Chicago, and I noticed the background in a couple of these scenes. Kate, Tommy and DMac are in Miguel Garcia's bar, or in the back of the bar where they have that living section. You can tell from the background and you can tell from the lighting that this is Miguel Garcia's bar because of the red lighting. That red lighting is Miguel Garcia's bar. We're going to see Tommy coming to see him in episode 6, not too sure what for, but again, it's just to highlight the red light. But I did think it was quite interesting, and I thought it was worth bringing to your attention because it only adds further fuel to the theory that Tommy and Miguel will end up working together. Maybe at this point where we see Kate, Tommy and DMac, maybe at this point where we hear Kate tell Tommy to make them suffer, Tommy and Miguel are on good terms, and the only place for Kate to be safe at this moment in time is Little Village. We heard Maria mention earlier on this season when she said the only other place where she'd be safe would be here. So definitely just thought I'd raise that point. It's something I noticed when I was running through these trailers and teaser scenes earlier this week. It just adds further confluence to the theory and almost most likely means Miguel's probably opened his doors as a safe haven for Kate and Tommy's family, where he may even mention to Tommy to bring them to mine. The Insane Princes will keep them safe as they go and battle CBI. I don't think it's something we'll see in episode 6 because Tommy and Miguel are still at odds, but definitely just some food for thought. I do think Miguel does seem to have opened up his home where he may have promised Tommy to keep his family safe. Now on DMac and Tommy, at the end of episode 4, we saw Tommy finally accepting DMac back into CBI. He realized that he can't change who DMac is, JP can't change who DMac is. For as much as DMac does like Genesis, who doesn't seem to be too impressed with the life that he's into, she can't change him either. This is a kid who definitely is street through and through. But with what needed to play out in episode 5, there was no time to get into Tommy mentoring DMac. So hopefully it's something we do start to see play out from episode 6 onwards. I do think episode 6 is where we do start to see him earn his stripes, and maybe the episode where we even hear Tommy mentioning Kanan again.
My man Kanan used to say, every good lie is veiled in the truth.
There was that scene in the teaser where Tommy tells him, Kanan once said, every good lie is veiled in the truth. And with everything that Tommy's going through at this moment in time, with him set to have his problems with his business partner in Diamond, with Diamond strengthening his bond with Jannard and them making solo moves, first with the Yardies and also over here, this was one of the exclusive images. It does seem like they're going to be making yet another move without Tommy again. There aren't many people that Tommy can trust at this moment in time. He definitely can't trust Jannard or Diamond. And even though Shanti warned him at the end of episode 5, which was definitely the right warning, he definitely can't trust her either. Stacey Marks will no doubt try and make another move on him, or maybe use some dirty tricks. And then there's also Vic Flynn. He's also planning to take back control in the background. That's not even taking into account characters like AUSA Seng, Miguel Garcia, who also wants him dead, with Roberto Ortega and the Marquez cartel. I wouldn't be surprised if someone else or something else popped up as well. So just have a look at the list that we just went through. Tommy really does have a lot of enemies. Some he knows about, but some he doesn't. But they're all spread across the entire chessboard, from his business partners to those that work for him, law enforcement, and rivals who only happens to be Maria's brother. He's in a crazy situation going into the home stretch, which is why I do think he needs DMac more than ever before, because he's probably the only person that he can trust to have his back, that won't turn on him in the streets. Those types of people are very rare, and why the loss of Liliana really does hurt. If she was still around, then that's someone who he would have definitely been able to trust. At the same time, he still needs to be very careful with DMac, because even though we know he can handle himself in the streets, that's still his nephew, and he did make JP a promise that he will keep an eye on him. But after DMac wasn't in episode 5, I'm expecting him to return, and hopefully we start to see him earning his stripes. Hopefully Tommy starts to bring him along in the game, teaching him what's what. This is how me and Kanan did things back in the day. We had Tommy tell JP the story of when Ghost moved in with them and when Kate tried to stay sober, which only lasted 2 weeks. Hopefully we do get some more stories around Kanan and Ghost when Tommy is with DMac, which, judging by a couple of these teasers that we haven't seen yet, we definitely will. Now, we know one thing that will most probably happen towards the end, maybe around the episode 8 mark. That's normally a big episode in the World of Power during every season. Maybe that's the episode where JP meets his end. I do think they're probably going to start to rebuild that relationship with JP. He's just made his return this season himself back in episode 4. I think Tommy and DMac both need to start rebuilding this relationship with JP, which they have both started. And come on, you guys know where the story goes from here. When family members start rebuilding this relationship, you just know what's going to happen. When things also go sour with the CBI, the Marquez cartel, or whoever else, when things no doubt get sour with them, and no doubt when King Kilo's released from prison, we still need to keep that in mind by the way, things definitely will take a turn. And that's when I'm expecting JP to go. In episode 4, he said that he'll smoke King Kilo too, and the more you kind of think about it, King Kilo never really bought the story from Junard, with them pinning Mad Dog's body on Rashawn. I do think he still wants blood, and that blood may very well end up being paid by JP. And if that happens, then shit, it definitely is on. That's when we're probably going to see Tommy and DMac get ready for war, and I wouldn't be surprised if DMac does actually end up smoking King Kilo. I think he will definitely be released at some point, and I do think he will get smoked as well, so why not have it be at the hands of DMac? It definitely would be a big kill. I also do think he will surprise Tommy with what he's capable of as well. Tommy knows that his nephew is a very smart kid, and he's street through and through, but I do think he'll surprise him with what he's capable of and just how smart he actually is, with DMac maybe making some of the plans. And I am going to give you guys an example. Young Kanan from Raising Kanan. He was the one who came up with the Van Wyck idea back in season 1. He was the one who thought of selling product using Famous's tapes. He was the one who started the weed business using Paul's courier system. He's the one who came up with the plan to have himself kidnapped. He's the one who lured Rock and Detective Howe to the warehouse by faking the fact that he was kidnapped, only to then turn the tables on Ronnie and kill him. That was all orchestrated by Kanan. For as much as he made a lot of mistakes, for as much as he was reckless early on, and as much as he annoyed us during the early seasons of Raising Kanan, he did show that he was a very smart kid. He was the one who created this plan, and he's the one who executed. So, bringing it back to Force, Tommy may be the one with the experience, he may be the one who may be calling the shots in most scenarios, but I actually wouldn't put it past DMac to at some point say, this is how we're going to run this move. Very similar to how he kind of went back on Junard's plan and created his own plan when they attacked the 9/7s. And where Tommy says, you know what, let's run with it, sounds like a plan. For as reckless as DMac is, he's not as stupid as people make him out to be. He's a very intelligent kid. If he actually put his mind to it, he'd probably do very well with his education. But again, we've been through that before as well. The cycle of power and the red pill and the blue pill of power. How DMac has only ever known the red pill. You have characters like Genesis who have definitely taken the blue pill option, who mentioned that she's hoping to go to Spellman. She even mentioned back in episode 4 what would really impress her is if he went and got a diploma. Not that diamond chain around his neck. That just brings unwanted attention. But just like we mentioned before with Tommy and JP not being able to change who he is, Genesis for sure won't be able to change him either. But I do think once this gets going with Tommy and DMac, which I'm hoping starts in episode 6, because realistically they have up to episode 9 before Force is set to go off in a complete new direction. Joseph Sikora mentioned episode 9 is like a false finale, with episode 10 feeling like a complete brand new show. So that's when I'm actually expecting most of the storylines around the main players of Force to finish. Gary Lennon also mentioned in his TV Line interview, which I will leave the link to down below. Great interview. I'd highly recommend watching this interview. He mentioned that we'd be very surprised at who's standing and who's not come the end, and what threads he does decide to leave open. He also mentioned he can pull them into anything else if he wanted to down the line. And hopefully DMac is one of those threads. Hopefully it's something that can continue on into Power Legacy, but definitely the time is now. Episode 6 through to maybe episode 9, maybe 10, and maybe beyond. Let's get the show rolling with Tommy mentoring DMac, teaching him the ropes, teaching him what he learned from Kanan, Breeze, and also Ghost. I want to hear more of Tommy's stories, which I think Gary Lennon is doing a great job at giving us with these conversations. These conversations with JP and DMac are hitting a lot more than seasons 1 and 2, with the constant references and nods to the past. But that's a wrap with some clues and scenes from previous teasers and trailers. And where we are with DMac, what I'm hoping to see from him from episode 6 onwards, which is him earning his stripes, him working alongside Tommy, Tommy bringing him along in the game, giving him some words of wisdom, teaching him what he learned through his experience through Kanan, Ghost, and Breeze. But at the same time, as I mentioned before, with the example that I gave of young Kanan, I also wouldn't be surprised if DMac is the one who does create a plan or two as well. So definitely just some food for thought. But that's a wrap for DMac. Definitely exciting times watching him under Tommy's wing, that's for sure. So drop all your thoughts down below in the comment section. And as always, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.